Fasten your seatbelts, folks. It's time for another vlog. Folks, I'm in Moorabbin, one of Melbourne's southeastern suburbs, and I'm here today because not only is there a small airport here, but there's also the Australian National Aviation Museum. I'm Andrew from Andy's World Journeys, and this is Melbourne Revealed. So here are the Aviation Museum. Not sure how long it's been open for, but it does have a number of different kinds of aircraft and stuff on display, as you'd expect. It's not too far from the city, Moorabbin, I guess about half an hour, 35 minutes on train, but then you do have to take a bus. So it's not the most accessible thing to see in Melbourne, but if you are an aviation enthusiast and you're here, it might be just what you're looking for. It's got a big shed there, and then it's got a lot of aircraft as well, which are outside. And let's see, over here we are going into the cabin of the front part of a Boeing 737, which is fantastic. You know, you get to see a lot of this sort of stuff here. This is obviously quite an old plane, but you can come right up into the cockpit, and if you like you can flick a few switches and pretend that you're the captain. Please do not open cockpit windows. Yes, probably, well, you know, it's not too bad, is it? I mean, the seat's pretty warm. And you've got a big box right here, which has new wires, so I wonder if it, I wonder how long this thing's been out of service. This airplane came from the Philippine Airlines, and you can see here how it was transported to the Aviation Museum. Here we go into the big shed, and I think most of these here are quite historical airplanes there. There's a Gypsy Moth. Here's something obviously used by the Royal Australian Air Force. You can see, you know, bits and pieces taken out and on display. Here you go, there's an engine for you. That's quite interactive. It's really good for kids actually, so if you have kids I think they'll love it. There's a lot of kids here today. It's actually quite a popular museum, and as I said, you can get into a lot of the cockpits here, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not really an expert on planes by any stretch of the imagination, but you'd have to agree that the technology is pretty awesome that allows us to take off from the ground and inhabit the skies. But don't ask me to name any of these planes, although this is a de Havilland Sea Venom. See, I'm cheating. Let's see how the flight simulator is going here. We've waited for people to exit the flight simulator. This is a DC-9, and it's all lit up for you. It's a flight simulator, but it's not one that, as far as I can see, you actually control. It just simulates a flight for you. So that's pretty cool. So it's not actually a functioning simulator. I mean, it's it's just playing a video really. That's how it's simulating the flight. But you know, it's kind of cool, especially with everything lit up and dark in the cockpit. So as you can see, that's what you get. It's flying through the clouds there. What can I say? That takeoff looked a bit strange. I didn't feel like we'd mustered up enough pace to get off the ground, but hey, who am I? Definitely not a pilot. Switches, switches. This plane is full of many, many switches. Who knows what they do? What's an APU? What's an RGen? Who knows? It's off or on. Turn off the dial and have some fun. Got to have the energy sync right. Got the start pump. It's not going to happen. We're not going to start if we don't have the start pump. Oh, look, I turned the light off. That's cool. That's locked on open. Let's see. The fuel tanks. I've got all the fuel tanks on there and the forward pumps. Let's see what we can do here, baby. Well folks, we made it down safely. Thanks to me, the pilot, who just pressed a whole lot of buttons and prayed. That's how you fly a plane. And I'm not sure what we've got here, but if we've got any experts out there, I'm sure you know. But obviously this is a military plane. Imagine having to navigate your way as you fly, as such here. That would have been pretty tricky, I'd say. Very tricky indeed. I believe what we're looking here is called an A84226, and this one was called Canberra. And over here we've got some information on its restoration. Maybe it was called a Bristol Freighter.
Flying around, looping the loop and defying the ground. Rightfully keen, those magnificent men in their flying machine. They can fly upside down.
Over here we can get into this Bristol 170 Freighter Mark 31.
They really don't care. Human would think he had made a mistake to see those young men and the chances they take. Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, they go down to the down. They enchant all the ladies and steal all the tea with their up to the up and their down to the down. Up, down. Flying around, looping the loop and defying the crowd. They're all rightfully keen, those magnificent men in their
Because Viscount, the first of the post-World War II, developed turboprop airliners to enter service in Australia. The smooth operation of the jet turbine propeller engine combination resulted in considerable increase in passenger comfort. Shall we find out just how comfortable post-war passengers were? So I think you've got to remember here, we're talking about a plane that's in operation, I guess late 40s or early 50s, TAA again, the Viscount. And in some ways, it's not that different to what we experience today. although these seats look quite spacious, and of course no lockable compartments. Still no smoking in the toilet, hey? Not that I see a toilet. Here are some of the old uniforms, and up here you can indeed, oh look, see even some of the lights work on this, which is pretty cool, all things considered. One thing that really gets me about air travel when I look at this, and I do have to remember that this is a very old plane, so it's not the most modern of technologies here, but by God there's a lot of dials and buttons, and that's where I tip my hat to the pilots, because especially pilots of the oldie type planes, all these buttons, what the heck do they do? How can you possibly remember? I mean, that's why they fly with a pilot and a co-pilot, right? Who needs a co-pilot? Look at that. Is it the flight controls, or is this plane just pleased to see me? Nothing. Not even a little laugh. Come on guys, I'm doing my best. Aha. First flew on the 19th of November 1958. The aircraft was temporarily taken out of service in 1969. Then returned to service in March 1970, and it flew its last revenue service on the 10th of April 1970 from Sydney to Essendon Airport. So there you go. So this airline, this Viscount plane was in service for just a little over 10 years. Australian Navy, we've got the Fairy Gannett. And over here, what do we have? This is the Gloucester Meteor. It's Britain's first jet fighter plane, starting service in 1943. It's obviously been repainted. Two-person setup here. Westland Wessex Mark 31B. Unlikely to go anywhere these days. One imagines this used to be one of the bigger airplanes in service, you know, doing passenger transport, a commercial plane. But today it would be considered a very small plane, wouldn't it? We've got a capacity of 40-ish. Over here we just have a little bit about the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is an exceptional service because Australia is so, and this is Ansett over here, the back over here, Royal Flying Doctors, essential service to the outback of Australia for emergency medical supplies and treatment. So folks, it's a pretty small museum, but it's really fun. The cost was only $10 for an adult to get in, Australian, so what's that? Less than $8 US, $7, $8 US. So it's pretty good value, and it's a great place. The kids will have a great time, and you can actually hop into the cockpits of a number of different planes and flick as many switches as you like, which even as an adult I kind of find fun. And of course, there is things you can purchase as well, because there's a gift shop, icy poles, but model planes, more model planes, even more model planes, if you're into model planes. then you can find some here. Look, even some Lego, books, shirts, polo shirts. Yet another chance to sit in a cockpit. Oh, these are nice shirts actually. 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 30 bucks. And of course some seating, if it so please you. Choose one more. Thank you. See you later. See ya. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you do have a vehicle, it's obviously a lot easier to reach this Australian National Air Museum here in Moorabbin. But you know, even if you don't, you can get here by public transport and a bit of walking, and it's a fantastic place for the kids. Thanks for joining me today. Take care. I'll see you next week with a new Melbourne Revealed, where we should be going somewhere pretty exciting. Take care, of course. May the journey never end.
Those magnificent men